On the one hand, LPD, sworn police officer, says you didn't tell them anything. On the other hand, you're telling them you gave them a whole story. Clear. That's wholly contradictory to what Lansing Police Department is saying, right?
Reverse. That was a lie too.
Arrived at Kelsey's house first.
Yes.
Do you recall how long after Miss Miller appeared?
Not even 10 minutes.
Okay. And what were you guys doing when you were at Kelsey's house?
Well, we were just having a couple drinks. We were all just sitting there talking. I just worked a 12-hour day at work, so I was just coming by for an hour. Then Kelsey's boyfriend, or at the time, our other friend, her boyfriend had came out, and he'd gotten also mad and told us to turn down the music. And that's kind of when things kind of started turning for the worst, and when arguments started coming out. First, Kelsey and her boyfriend, and then Kelsey, when Morgan and Kelsey were in the car, they were sitting there, and she was just telling Kelsey how, she shouldn't, it's her house, say their names.
Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Morgan, Duder, and Kelsey. So
You said Morgan who?
Duder is her boyfriend.
Duder? How do we spell that?
It's his nickname. I'm gonna say,
Okay.
I'm guessing it's like his nickname. I don't know his actual name. That's kind of why I was.
Duder, like D-U-D-E-R?
D-O-O-T-E-R.
Okay.
Well, Morgan had went to her car and she drove off kind of fast for a second there. And then Duder and Kelsey, yes.
Okay. All right. So you're in the car. You're talking to Miss Miller. What happens next?
Well, then Kelsey, she comes back and, she was crying. She was really upset. And she gets in the car. At first we weren't arguing. We were just talking, but then it got me and Morgan.
Okay. Did Kelsey get into the argument with you guys at all?
No.
So it's just you and Morgan arguing?
Yes. Next to her, and she swung at me. She swung her hands at me, and I kind of pushed her hand down because she was driving the car, and so I pushed her hand down, and at this point I said, fine, I'll get out the car, so she slowed down enough to let me get out the car.
Okay. And I just want to clarify one more time that when she's swinging her hand at you, do you remember if it was an open or a closed fist?
It was a close.
Okay, thank you. So
all I remember is being hit and opening my eyes and looking up and blood coming out everywhere in the car. That's all I remember. All I remember is being hit with the bottle while standing outside the car looking for my stuff. And then after that, I remember opening my eyes, blood spraying everywhere in her car. Outside of her car, halfway outside of her car, dangling as she drove off, and my blood is spraying everywhere in her car. And then as she slowed down, I was able to fall out of her car, sit there, and as I sat there,
And my name's Brian Morley. I'm an attorney representing Miss Miller. A handful of questions for you. This incident happened on August 21st to 25, right?
Yes.
And at that time, when Lansing police showed up, you refused to talk to them, right?
Correct.
You refused to tell them a story, right?
Correct.
So your testimony earlier that you told them something had happened, but the only thing you didn't tell them was the person's name, that's not accurate, right?
No, I let them know exactly what happened to me. I just did not tell them Morgan's name. I told them I was hit in the head with a bottle from a person I worked with.
Hang on. It was just a question.
Yeah.
Now my question is, if Lansing police says,
I refused giving my full story.
that's not what I asked. I'm asking you, Lansing Police Department in their report indicates that on August 21st, that you refused to give them a statement. Are they lying or are you?
They record, correct?
I'm asking you the question.
I would say they are not telling the complete truth.
Do you have any idea why they would not tell the truth?
Probably because I didn't give a full report. I didn't have them do a full report.
Okay,
I only let the cop know who I talked to. That, I told her what happened, but I told her I didn't want to report it at this time.
So to be clear, that's wholly contradictory to what Lansing Police Department is saying, right? Lansing Police Department is saying, I tried to obtain a brief statement from her, but she continued to refuse. So on the one end, we have a sworn police officer who has no dog in this fight, saying you refused to give a statement on August 21st, and you're telling us on the extreme other end that you gave bits and pieces and the only thing you didn't provide was Miss Miller's name. Yes or no, is that correct?
Can you restate that one more time?
I don't know how to. On the one
It
end,
was pretty long, so
on the
I
one end, you
think
didn't.
she needs you to explain the
apologize.
question.
I apologize. And I wasn't, no, I was mad at myself for that.
Oh, okay.
I did that to a witness a while back, and I apologize for that. On the one end, LPD, sworn police officer, says you didn't tell them anything. On the other hand, you're telling them you gave them a whole story except for a name, right? Okay. And you were highly intoxicated at the time, right?
No.
So if Lansing Police Department says Rob was notably intoxicated that day, that wouldn't be accurate?
That wouldn't be accurate. They drove me to my car to drive so I could drive myself to the hospital. They dropped me off at my car, at Kelsey's when she was
Is there
parked
anything, have you reviewed the police report in this matter?
No, I have not
Is there-
reviewed the police report. I just
So
came
this-
here to tell the truth.
I understand. This is another inaccuracy or a lie on the part of the Lansing Police Department when they say Rob was notably intoxicated that day, being the 21st. That's not an accurate statement.
Not an accurate statement.
Isn't it true that you threw a bottle at Miss Miller first?
No.
Isn't it true that you told people you threw a bottle at Miss Miller first?
No.
When you gave your initial statement,
What or why I was sad, I was upset. I wanted to get my friend, two people that I knew set me up. I didn't know what to believe.
Okay, so how much blood are we talking about here?
There was a lot. I've never seen so much blood come out of my. That's why I was kind of in shock and why I was really just trying to get to the hospital. I didn't want to take the ambulance because I'm a single mom.
Let me tie this together because it appears to me
Well,
in
let me be
this.
clear, was there mischaracterization?
I don't think so. That's what I'm trying to, so if I can answer her objection, I don't believe it's a mischaracterization based on the question I just asked.
of the person, but it does state in the report that she was
I
identified.
think she was fairly newer, probably within, I don't know, like 4 or 5.
Your Honor, today you heard from two witnesses, five witnesses actually. Two of the witnesses from the prosecution, Ms. Sherry Rabb and Officer Leslie Vasquez. From Ms. Sherry Rabb, you heard that on August 21st of 2025, she was hanging out with her coworkers, with a glass bottle by her coworker, Morgan Miller. When she initially got hit in the head, she was very overwhelmed. She was scared. She was new to her job. She didn't want to cause any trouble at her job. So she didn't really want to give a statement to officers when they arrived. However, when officers arrived, they did notice she was bleeding heavily from her head, had blood on her scrubs and on her shoes. Ms. Rabb did explain that she saw the glass bottle from inside the car, then outside the car. She never saw it actually impact her head. However, she knew it was the glass bottle because Ms. Miller was not in a position to actually reach her to hit. And one of those coworkers was told that nothing really happened and that she fell and hit her head. That last one, Ms. Keener, was told that she doesn't know when, and she doesn't know if it was before or after that police report was made, before Ms. Rabb felt like she was able and capable of making that report. The one who was told that Ms. Rabb had thrown the bottle first, I don't believe that technically that takes away the probable cause to believe that Ms. Miller committed felonious assault with the bottle. Your Honor, at this time, the people believe that we have met the probable cause standard for felonious assault for this case to be bound over to circuit court.
Ms. Rabb made up several stories here. I question the fact that she doesn't know what she was hit with. I question the fact that there is no evidence, there's no bottle. I understand the low standard of probable cause of preliminary examination. This is a self-defense, if it even happened that day.
Today was the date that was set for preliminary examination. The burden is on the prosecutor to establish probable cause that a felony was committed and then probable cause sufficient to charge you, Ms. Miller, with the felony. This is not a trial. They don't have to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. They just have to show more than mere suspicion that the felony occurred. The court will be the only determiner of credibility of any of the witnesses, and the court will weigh the probability of the government's likelihood to establish guilt if this were to go to trial, and measure whether or not the evidence raises questions about reasonable doubt. We had testimony today, first from a Sherry Rabb. She testified that on or about that she was just getting off work, went to a friend's house, which was later to be determined to be the address of 705 Shepherd Street, which is in the city of Lansing, Ingham County, making venue in this court appropriate. and that she was there to just have some drinks and hang out, and that while she was there or after she was there, she was then informed that another friend from work drove off, came back, I think for the bottle of liquor that she had brought. That they all began talking again. There was an agreement, or now they're all in the car with Miss Miller to go to the liquor store. The witness testified that they never made it to the liquor store because there was an argument that ensued while in the vehicle. It was unclear what the argument was about. I think that the witness shared something about there being some incident prior to this, or some energy prior to this, between both Miss Miller and Miss Robb, which is something the court should take into consideration. However, the witness testified that while they were driving, that she said that they got into an argument and that Miss Miller told her to get out, told Miss Robb to get out of the vehicle. Miss Robb told Miss Miller, "You take me back to my vehicle." Now leaning her body inside of a car. Red flag. If I thought I left something, and no one ever, I was going to have someone clarify to me what a bait is, because I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. If I left something in a car, I'm not leaning or jumping through a car to get it, a window of a car. That's I would open the car door, I would get all of my things while the car, before I close the car door. But she's closed the car door, and then somehow or another, she is now leaning in this car door. Based on her testimony, if I were to believe her testimony, in the vehicle far enough that her body would hang out if the vehicle continued to drive. And she said it's for the purpose of looking for something. A bottle. When questioned about how she knew she was hit in the head, she did testify that she never saw herself get hit in the head with the bottle. She just knew she had got hit in the head with the bottle because A, she was hit, B, she saw the bottle outside of the vehicle, and that the driver would not have been close enough to her to hit her with the bottle. Red flag. There's a third person in the car. If you didn't see the driver hit you, how do we know that if you were hit by someone in the car, it didn't come from the other person? Because you're telling us in open court that you didn't see the bottle, or you didn't see yourself get hit, and that the person that you're saying hit you wasn't close enough to hit you themselves unless they used a bottle. But you only see the bottle on the outside of the vehicle. So again, things that are not completely adding up for the court initially. As we move forward, then we get testimony on direct that she gave a statement to the police. And she, on cross-examined, Ms. Robb is adamant that she gave a statement to the police but just refused to give the name. But then we later get testimony from Officer Leslie Vasquez, who's very clear that the girl refused to give a statement. But she was adamant, even when asked multiple times, did you give a statement to the police? Yeah, I gave a statement. I don't know. She essentially said that the police report and the police were lying, or they were inaccurate, and they got video, right? But the officer is very clear. It sounds like their video was reviewed by a sergeant or a detective later, that there was no statement given, that she refused to give a statement that she was intoxicated, to which she said she wasn't intoxicated. But she wants us to believe that she was not intoxicated, that tequila didn't bother her in any way, and that she just sat on the side of the sidewalk and refused to go in an ambulance, although she said there was a lot of blood everywhere, so that she could drive herself to the hospital to save herself what may be up to a $500 ride to the hospital. Then we have testimony from defense witnesses. And one witness testified very blanketly that Ms. Robb unsolicitedly tells her that she got into an incident or altercation with Miss Miller, that she threw the bottle at Miss Miller and Miss Miller threw the bottle back. That story makes some sense, but would explain how you knew the bottle was threw at you, by whom, since you claimed you didn't see it, and said that Morgan, Miss Miller, threw the bottle and it hit her in the head. No testimony or statement made to Miss Colton, it appears, that she may have thrown the bottle first. Then we have, lastly, a witness, also in another supervisory capacity, who says that Miss Rokina, I can't remember how her name was pronounced, prior to the police report being made or after the police report being made, I don't know that that really matters, because what matters to the court, at least, is that I now have had testimony from 5 witnesses, and everyone has given a statement different from the alleged victim. But the alleged victim has told all of these people, she's spoken to every last one of them, but she told them all something different. How can I find her credible? She told everybody something different. Which one is the lie? I'm supposed to believe that she told everybody else something different, and then now she's here to tell the truth and the whole truth. Even though when she was on the stand and she was asked, did you give a statement to the police? Absolutely. She didn't give a statement to the police on the 21st. That was a lie too. So no, I find her to lack any credibility. The case is dismissed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Counsel.